Another print disability, which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Pat Connolly, and for the next hour I'll be reading from current issues of the Niagara Gazette on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. From the front page of the Saturday and Sunday, April 11th and 12th issue, Second Chances Take Flight, Niagara Gospel Mission, Rainbow Air, Partner to Open Doors for Men Rebuilding Their Lives, by Mark Shear. When Rainbow Air helicopter tours needed extra help for what they hope will be a busy 2026 tourism season, they reached out to representatives from the Niagara Gospel Mission. Conversations between the two sides helped 3 residents of the mission's homeless shelter on Portage Avenue in Niagara Falls secure employment this year. The mission's executive director, John Cooper Jr., hopes it will be just the first step in a large effort to find gainful employment for homeless men in the Falls through workforce development agreements like the one with Rainbow Air. We believe real transformation includes meaningful employment, Cooper Jr. said. We are grateful for community partners like Rainbow Air Helicopter Tours who are willing to invest in people and provide opportunities for our residents to step back into the workforce. This is what community partnership looks like. The 3 residents who are now working for Rainbow Air are part of the New Mission Internship Program, which is designed to help men transition from homelessness to employment and long-term stability. While it does not rule out any potential employers, the program focuses on those who offer tourism-related work. As Cooper has noted, mission residents are required to contribute to the shelter during their stay, and part of training... Just a second. Mission residents are required to contribute to the shelter during their stay, and part of training to law enforcement and support staff. No, this is a mistake. Now I see. As Cooper has noted, mission residents are required to contribute to the shelter during their stay, and part of their contributions involve performing food preparation, routine cleanup work, or customer service duties. As Cooper has said, those same jobs are often in demand locally at area hotels, restaurants, and attractions. By partnering with private businesses like Rainbow Air, Cooper said the mission is able to broaden its efforts to equip residents with job readiness skills, workplace discipline, and character development. Creating sustainable pathways to employment benefits the individuals involved, as well as the local businesses and the economy, Cooper said. Rainbow Air Helicopter Tours' willingness to engage in second chance hiring demonstrates the powerful role businesses can play in community restoration, Cooper said. As Niagara Gospel Mission continues building its workforce development program, it remains committed to collaborating with organizations throughout Niagara County to help individuals move from homelessness to productive, independent living, end quote. From page 2 of the weekend issue, Niagara County again losing population in census estimates. All western New York counties lost population in 2025, estimates released last week. Robert Creenan of the Niagara Gazette. Niagara County has continued losing residents over the past year, a familiar trend across western New York. The population estimates recently released by the U.S. Census Bureau show that all 8 regional counties lost population from 2024 to 2025, with the overall state population remaining mostly stagnant. Niagara County lost a total of 468 residents over that period, with the number of births outnumbering the number of deaths by 682. Net migration went up by only 199 individuals, with 264 international residents offsetting the 65 people who moved out of the county. The overall estimate since April 2020 has Niagara County losing 3,759 residents, with the number of deaths outnumbering births by 4,294. The net migration rate lists 507 individuals who moved into the county since then, with 1,206 international residents coming in to offset the 699 people moving away. Western New York as a whole has lost 2,310 residents, with 14,175 births outnumbering the Western New York as a whole lost 2,310 residents, with the 14,175 births outnumbering the 17,030 deaths. That doesn't sound like outnumbering to me. The 2,953 international migrants barely outnumbered the 2,280 residents who moved away. Chautauqua County residents lost the largest percentage of population at 0.29%, that's 0.29%, while Erie County lost the most individuals, 1,042 or 0.11%. Overall, Western New York has an estimated 1,539 million residents in 2025, about 14,000 fewer than the 2020 census estimate. For New York State as a whole, the population went up by 1,008 individuals, with the number of births outnumbering deaths by 42,815. Net migration did go down by 41,952, with 95,634 new international arrivals compared to 137,586 residents leaving the state. While the overall state population of 20 million is still roughly 200,000 less than it was in April 2020, it has gone up by about 290,000 from 2022, with most gains in counties part of the New York City metro area. An article about the replica Erie Canal packet boat, the Seneca Chief. A look back and ahead for Erie Canal boat Seneca Chief. Join Chelsea Moore and Eddie Niblo from the Buffalo Maritime Center at the Niagara History Center at 2 p.m. Wednesday as they revisit the historic bicentennial voyage of the Erie Canal boat Seneca Chief in 2025. The voyage of the replica canal boat began in Buffalo last September and continued to New York City, commemorating the Erie Canal bicentennial. Stops at the various communities along the canal, including Lockport, featured welcome ceremonies, a symbolic gathering of the waters, hands-on programming, and an immersive onboard exhibit highlighting not only the canal's history and impact, but the traditional boat-building skills and craftsmanship that brought the Erie Canal boat Seneca Chief to life. As the boat traveled to each port along the canal, white pine trees were planted as a symbolic tribute to the Haudenosaunee and a commitment to a sustainable future. The stop in Lockport included fireworks, and the educational programming from that trip helped to shape the vision for this year's Back to Buffalo tour. Moore and Niblo will share the plans for this upcoming voyage back west, as well as the student and community programming that will accompany the Erie Canal boat Seneca Chief at each stop. Their program is at the Niagara History Center's main campus, 215 Niagara Street. Refreshments will be served. For more information, contact the History Center at 716-434-7433. That's 434-7433. Or, here's a web address, info@niagara-historycenter.org. From the front page of the Friday, April 10th issue of the Niagara Gazette, crash victim dies. Police close investigation of incident on Highland Avenue. By Rick Pfeiffer. A Falls man critically injured when a BMW SUV he was driving slammed into the brick wall of a building on the 2600 block of Highland Avenue has died. Police confirmed Thursday that Carl Lightfoot, 45, died Wednesday in the intensive care unit at Erie County Medical Center in Buffalo. Patrol officers had been dispatched to a report of a single vehicle crash at Highland and Fairfield Avenues about 11:45 p.m. March 23rd. The first officers on the scene said they found the twisted wreckage of a BMW X3 in an open lot adjacent to a vacant two-story brick building. Investigators said Lightfoot had attempted to pass another vehicle, stopped at a red light on the right-hand side, and lost control of the SUV. The vehicle hit a light pole and rolled over before crashing into the brick wall. Police said Lightfoot, who was not wearing a seatbelt, suffered severe head injuries and had no pulse. He was revived by paramedics and then transported to ECMC, where he had been listed in critical condition since his arrival. The crash caused significant damage to the building and damaged multiple natural gas lines within the structure. Crews from National Fuel were called to the scene and were able to shut down the damaged lines. The owner of the crashed BMW told police that he had left the keys to the vehicle in the glove compartment and it had been stolen. Lightfoot was released from state prison on March 12th after serving roughly 10 years of a 12-year term for shooting at a pair of Niagara Falls Police Narcotics Squad detectives in February 2015. He was originally released from prison in May of 2025, but returned to state custody after violating terms of his parole. Retired Niagara County Court Judge Sarah Sheldon had sentenced Lightfoot to serve 5 years of probation after his prison term. Lightfoot originally faced charges of first and second-degree attempted murder, attempted first-degree assault, second-degree criminal possession of a weapon, fourth-degree criminal possession of stolen property, first-degree reckless endangerment, resisting arrest, and second-degree obstructing governmental administration in connection with the shooting incident. He pleaded guilty as a second felony offender to a single count of second-degree criminal possession of a weapon in a deal with prosecutors. Lightfoot was accused of firing at least one shot at a pair of narcotics detectives during a foot chase in the city's North End. An article related to the Artificial Intelligence Center in Olcott. Massive transformer makes journey by barge to Olcott. Crews prepare unit for final transport to TerraWolf's Lake Mariner campus by Stephen M. Wallace out of Olcott. The 230-ton transformer that will help power TerraWolf's new AI data centers in Somerset arrived at Headley Boatyard by barge on Wednesday morning following inspection of the special trailer and rig that will carry it on Lake Road. Following inspection of the special trailer and rig that will carry it on Lake Road, the transformer was to be delivered to the Lake Mariner Data Center campus Thursday. The transformer, manufactured in China, was loaded onto a barge in Ontario, Canada, and shipped to Olcott via the St. Lawrence Seaway and Lake Ontario. Pennsylvania-based Buckingham Heavy Transport was hired to bring the transformer to Somerset. One of its 48 wheeled trailers arrived at Headley Boatyard last weekend and waited in storage for the transformer's arrival, which was held up temporarily by an ice jam in Ontario, according to Buckingham transport specialist Rick Maloyed. Crews from Buckingham worked for several hours Wednesday to transfer the transformer from the barge to the rig. While the rig was backed onto the barge, cranes lifted the transformer off the barge and set it on the trailer for securing. Once it was cleared for transport, the loaded rig would drive off the barge directly onto the roadway. Headley Boatyard operator David Headley was glad to host the transfer. This is what I am trying to build here, opportunities for the Olcott Harbor and the area to grow and prosper, he said. The trailer and rig were inspected by New York State Police. A TerraWolf representative stationed at the boatyard on Wednesday said the transformer will help power computers that figure out AI and algorithms more quickly. The crypto mining portions of the Lake Mariner campus employed 52 people on a full-time basis as of October 2025, and when the AIA data centers are up and running, the number of full-time employees could rise to 150, company executives have said. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Niagara Gazette on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Still from the Friday, April 10th issue, page 1. What's it going to cost the city to buy Parcel 0 from NFR? Vision of Arena faces financial hurdles, legal battles over land at center of plans, by Mark Scheer of the Niagara Gazette. It's a long article. I'm going to read the beginning of it. If you wish to hear all of it, you can call Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service at 716-821-5555, and staff will read the remainder of the article to you. But here is the first part. During his first term, Niagara Falls Mayor Robert Restaino started working on a plan to bring the city something he thought the local tourism economy could use, a combination ice hockey arena and events campus he called Centennial Park. As he has often said since first publicly unveiling the idea in the fall of 2021, Restaino believes the project has the potential to be a game changer for downtown. The mayor has consistently argued it could accomplish two significant things: activating undeveloped parcels owned by the private firm Niagara Falls Redevelopment, often referred to as NFR, activating underdeveloped parcels owned by the private firm Niagara Falls Redevelopment for decades, and spurring pedestrian traffic downtown to the benefit of local hotels, restaurants, and business owners. Quoting, "I'm not suggesting that this proposal is whatever one calls it, a silver bullet or a magic answer or whatever it is. I'm just thinking we've got to do something to try to activate the winter months and to get people who work in the hospitality industry to be able to work full-time jobs," Restaino told the Niagara Gazette in 2022. With a steep estimated price tag which started out at $150 million and has now grown to $210 million, the mayor knew following through on his concept would require more money than the city could afford to contribute on its own. As such, he pitched the Centennial Park idea to public officials with access to a larger pool of resources, namely New York state lawmakers representing Western New York in Albany. During those talks, Restaino said state officials told him they would consider the possibility of the state providing funds to support the development of an event center in the Falls, but only if the city had what the mayor has described as site control first. That's a big part of the reason why, months after going public with his plans for Centennial Park, Rustino embarked on what remains an important ongoing phase of the project's development, land acquisition. That seems like a good stopping point for this story, which is part of an ongoing series. If you would like to hear the rest of the story, you can call Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service at 716-821-5555, and staff will read the remainder of the article to you. Still from the front page of the Friday, April 10th Niagara Gazette, a daring move. Historic Daredevil barrel takes trip down 3rd Street in the Falls. Mark Shear. A 12-foot barrel that carried 2 people over the Horseshoe Falls in Canada in 1995 made a short trip down 3rd Street in Niagara Falls on Thursday morning. The barrel, made from welded water heaters and reinforced by Kevlar and a styrofoam coating, was placed on a flatbed truck and driven down the street so it could be displayed inside the new location of the Niagara Falls Daredevil Museum. Quoting, "It's always stressful when you're moving a 2,000-pound piece of history," the museum's owner, Galen Bailey, said following the barrel's successful delivery. The barrel carried Daredevil Steve Trotter and his girlfriend, Lori Martin, over the falls on June 18, 1995. The couple became the second duo to successfully survive the plunge. It marked the second time Trotter went over the falls and came out alive. He previously survived the falls in 1985 when he went over in The Rig, a craft made from industrial pickle barrels that was reinforced with fiberglass and balsa wood and surrounded by truck tire inner tubes for added shock absorption. Bailey, who also owns the local bike and scooter rental company Site C Rentals, acquired the piece last year from Mike and Mark DiFrancesco, the former owners of the original Niagara Falls Daredevil Museum, which closed in 2013 after several years of successful operation at the corner of Rainbow Boulevard and 3rd Street. Last May, Bailey converted 1,200 square feet of space inside a storefront he previously used for his bike rental business at 468A 3rd Street into his own Daredevil Museum. The space showcased Trotter and Martin's barrel, the jet ski 39-year-old Robert Overacker used in his unsuccessful attempt to tackle the Horseshoe Falls on October 1st, 1995, and an extensive collection of photographs, books, paintings, and pieces of Falls history. This year, Bailey moved all of the items in his museum's collection to a new location just up the street, inside the space formerly occupied by the Gold Bar at 435 3rd Street. Trotter and Martin's barrel was the last piece to go. It also presented the biggest moving challenge. Employees from American Glass were called to remove the front window from the museum's former 3rd Street location so the barrel could be lifted out into the street. 2 operators from Frontier Towing used a winch to pull it through the window space and load it onto a flatbed truck so it could be driven down 3rd Street to the museum's new location. After the move, a relieved Bailey described the morning experience as nerve-wracking. Quoting, It's just getting it here successfully and not breaking any windows as we were moving it, and getting out of the one shop and into this shop," he said. Bailey's new museum space offers several advantages that the old one didn't, including a bar. He's applying for a beer and liquor license and hopes to be able to start serving drinks to museum visitors later this year. The Niagara Falls Daredevil Museum is scheduled to open to the public at its new location on May 1st. "We want to hold events, parties here," Bailey said. Quoting, "This will be a cooler space where we can have that kind of stuff in the off-season. It has more of an art gallery feel to it for the museum. We're going to have a really cool layout, and we also have some new exhibits," end quote. More items will be on display at the new location, and Bailey said he's planning one exhibit dedicated to the history of organized crime in the Falls and Buffalo during the era of Stefano Magaddino. He has also added to his museum's collection numerous items from the old Imperial Garage, a former 3rd Street bar and blues venue owned by Toby Rotella, the late founder of the Niagara Falls Blues Festival. In its time, the popular bar played host to numerous blues legends, including Muddy Waters, John Lee Hooker, Junior Wells, Buddy Guy, B.B. King, and Stevie Ray Vaughan. Quoting, "We have some really cool photographs from the Imperial Garage that will be permanently displayed behind the bar," Bailey said. End of article. Now from the front page of the Thursday, April 9th issue of the Niagara Gazette, "Washout Woes. State launches repairs tied to Western New York's Deltasonic entrances," Mark Scheer. "Beleaguered motorists in Niagara Falls will get some relief soon on a particularly bad stretch of well-traveled road in front of a gas station and car wash on Niagara Falls Boulevard. City and state officials confirmed for the Niagara Gazette that a plan is in place to repair the road in front of the Deltasonic at 7920 Niagara Falls Boulevard. The road repair, which is expected to start later this year, is part of a larger effort being coordinated by the New York State Department of Transportation to reinforce entrances in front of 5 Western New York Deltasonic locations. State DOT spokesperson Ryan Whalen said the paving work will be done under an agreement with the owner of the local Deltasonic franchises, Benderson Development. He said the first round of repairs is expected to begin with the Clarence Deltasonic location and move on from there. Quoting, "Our hope is that they are going to replace them all this year," end quote, Whalen said. City Department of Public Works employees placed "Rough Road" signs in front of the Falls Deltasonic location earlier this year, and for good reason. The traffic lane closest to the combination car wash and motor vehicle service station is riddled with potholes and crevices. The adjacent lane isn't much better. While the road is located in the city, Niagara Falls Boulevard is technically a state road. However, maintenance for the section of the boulevard in the city is covered under an arterial agreement dating back decades. Under the agreement, the municipality receives funds from the state in exchange for accepting responsibility for maintaining the road. The Falls Deltasonic location is not the only one creating issues with roads near entrances and generating complaints from passing motorists. City and state officials both say detergents used inside the car wash that run off into nearby roadways are considered contributing factors to the degradation of those streets. Quoting, "It's creating bad roads in front of Deltasonics across the area," Whalen said. City DPW employees used hot patch to fill potholes in front of the Falls Deltasonic location last spring. In light of the plan to use concrete to mitigate road deterioration in front of the location, the city does not plan to do so again this year. quoting, "The damage to the street is caused by the chemicals and compounds that Delta Sonic uses daily," said Philip Wells, a representative from E3 Communications, the private public relations firm hired to represent the falls. Continuing the quotation, "We are happy that the DOT has taken the initiative to come up with a solution with the Delta Sonic on Niagara Falls Boulevard," end quote. You're listening to a reading of articles and features from the Niagara Gazette on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. And the next article is from the front page of the Thursday, April 9th Niagara Gazette. Suspended cop pleads not guilty to murder. Sanborn man accused of shooting his wife and leaving her to die, by Rick Pfeiffer. A suspended Buffalo police officer is now accused of shooting his wife, leaving her to die, and trying to clean up the evidence of his alleged crime, all while researching jobs and real estate in Florida. The claims were made by an assistant New York State Attorney General during an arraignment for Lance L. Woods on Wednesday morning in Niagara County Court. A Niagara County grand jury had previously charged Woods, 53, of Lewiston, with a single count of second-degree murder in an indictment that was unsealed during his arraignment before County Court Judge Carolyn Watashek. Wearing an orange Orleans County Jail jumpsuit, Woods did not speak during his court appearance, but his defense attorney, Barry Covert, entered a plea of not guilty on the charge. Woods is accused of killing his wife, Alexis Skochilas, 35, inside the couple's Buffalo Street Sanborn home late on the night of February 13th during a domestic violence incident. Both Covert and Assistant Attorney General James Mara described the evidence in the case as voluminous. Mara indicated that police had seized multiple electronic devices and that Woods had made statements to investigators. The Assistant Attorney General asked Watashek to order that Woods continue to be held without bail as a potential flight risk. Quoting, "He shot his wife in the head after an argument where she told him she was leaving him for another man," Mara told the judge. The Assistant Attorney General, said the gunshot wound did not immediately kill Skochilas, but that Woods failed to render any aid that may have saved her life. Instead, Mara said, Woods moved Skochilas' body to the basement of their home while trying to clean up the blood-soaked crime scene and put his wife's body in a 50-gallon drum. Mara said Woods then researched jobs and homes for sale in Florida. Criminal investigators previously said that the couple's 2 children, believed to be between the ages of 7 and 10, were present during the shooting. When Woods reportedly left the home during the day on February 14th, detectives said he took his children with him to a Buffalo Police District station where he met with a supervisor. Law enforcement sources said Woods told the supervisor that he was trying to go to Pennsylvania. The supervisor reportedly allowed Woods to leave the station to take his children to his parents' home near the Amherst-Cheektowaga border. That supervisor, identified only as a police captain, has been suspended with pay pending an ongoing investigation. Buffalo police said they were contacted by Lewiston police at about 1 a.m. February 15th and were told that Woods was sought in connection with a homicide investigation. Sources with knowledge of the police efforts said investigators were pinging Woods' cell phone to determine his location. He was reportedly located at his parents' home, where he had dropped off his children and was taken into custody by Amherst police. Woods was off duty at the time of the shooting. He joined the Buffalo Police Department in 2008 and had risen to the rank of detective. He was assigned as a school resource officer, SRO. Neither prosecutors nor investigators have said how long Skochilas and Woods were married. Skochilas was a former Niagara County Sheriff's Office corrections officer. Sheriff Michael Filicetti said Skochilas worked for a little over a year at the county jail and left her job in 2022. Covert told Wojtaszek that Woods is a religious man. The lawyer said Woods' defense would be benefited by his ability to be out of jail and working with his attorneys. Quoting, there is just simply no reason to believe he won't show up in court or is a risk to the community, Covert said. Wojtaszek said she would continue to jail Woods. Quoting, he's facing up to life in prison, the judge said. He told law enforcement officers he was going to cross the New York-Pennsylvania border. End quote. Lewiston Police Chief Michael Salata said his department had no history of calls for service at the couple's home prior to February 14th. Quoting, there were no records of domestic violence calls there, Salata said. Lewiston police said they were called at 5:14 p.m. February 14th and dispatched minutes later along with New York State police troopers to a home on Buffalo Street in Sanborn for a welfare check. The dispatch transmission indicated that, quoting, a female named Alexis could not be reached by family members, end quote. The 911 dispatcher said the caller also told them that the female was going through a divorce. The arriving officers said that when they entered the house, they found Skochilas dead. Woods' prosecution is being handled by the New York Attorney General's Office under New York Executive Law Section 70B. That law requires that the Attorney General's Office of Special Investigation assesses every incident reported to it where a police officer or a peace officer, including a corrections officer, may have caused the death of a person by an act or omission. Under the law, the officer may be on duty or off duty, and the decedent may be armed or unarmed. End of article. From the Wednesday, April 8th issue of the Niagara Gazette, front page, More Than a Pantry. A long-planned expansion aims to transform how community missions delivers food and services. Rick Pfeiffer. Community Missions Niagara Frontier, Inc. has told members of the Niagara Falls Planning Board that they are inching closer to their goal of building a new multi-purpose center next to their Buffalo Avenue shelter and headquarters. Christian Hoffman, Vice President of Public Relations and Development for Community Missions, said the not-for-profit was hopeful it would have a site plan ready for board approval by this summer. The cost of the construction project is estimated at $1.3 million, with an additional $200,000 required to outfit the building. We have about $900,000 committed at this point, Hoffman said, so we have a little more to do. But when we have the full funding, we'll be right back here with a site plan. The mission's fundraising efforts were recently bolstered by a $600,000 grant from the New York State Regional Economic Development Council. Plans call for the one-story, 5,000 square foot distribution center to be built at 1600 Buffalo Avenue on land immediately adjacent to the mission's current shelter and headquarters. Half the building would serve as a food pantry, accessible by clients. 30% would be used for food pantry storage, and 20% for the mission's furniture giveaway program. The furniture distribution program is now housed at 324 Portage Road. the site Community Missions is hoping to develop into a new multi-unit facility to house homeless families. The Planning Board has recommended that the City Council approve a request from the Mission to rezone 324 Portage Road, 1431 Robinson Court, and 320 Portage Road into a single property and change the property zoning from its existing C1A Neighborhood Commercial to C2A Traditional Commercial. The rezoning would allow Community Missions to construct a 10,000 square foot two-story building containing a mix of 6, 2, and 3 bedroom units designed only for family use. Hoffman said the organization's current food pantry, which is 1,000 square feet, is too small to meet the community demand. In 2008, the Mission Pantry was providing 30,000 meals a year. Since the COVID pandemic, that has skyrocketed to between 170,000 to 180,000 meals a year. We can't bring people inside anymore to select food that meets their family's needs, Hoffman said. People have to wait outside. We want them to have a more dignified experience than that. Hoffman said construction of the distribution center is expected to take 8 to 12 weeks. End of article. From page 2 of the Wednesday, April 8th issue of the Niagara Gazette, Skills USA students tap homeschool talent for project. Trio come up with Threads of Hope, a bracelet for courage, and a card for comfort. Lisa Bielmeyer. 3 Niagara Career and Technical Education Center students, Abigail Chuichanenko, Madison Chiupa, and Lillian Diegelman, came up with a sweet community service project for their Skills USA competition. The students are enrolled in the Allied Health Program in Lockport with Melissa Brigham, and wanted to do something for children and senior citizens who are in medical care facilities. After some brainstorming, they came up with their project, which they named Threads of Hope, a bracelet for courage and a card for comfort. Quoting, We wanted to spread love in the community, and we understand how hard it is for people in patient care and how lonely they get, Diegelman said. We thought the bracelets and the cards would be a good way to let them know they are being thought of, and it would give them hope and cheer them up. End quote. The team did not have to think too hard of who they could tap for artistic talents and looked toward their home school, Starpoint. Quoting, The 6th grade to 12th grade art departments were a huge help, Chukanenko said. Their students were amazing. We had a goal of 250 bracelets, and they made 350. The bracelets were all different colors, designs, slogans, and sizes, so they would fit any child. Our kindergarten through grade 5 and our BOCES graphic communications class made almost 400 cards. The students filled them with words of kindness and made some amazing, colorful pictures. The cards and bracelets were beautiful, and when we dropped them off at the Golisano Children's Hospital and some of the local nursing homes like Wheatfield Elderwood and Lockport Rehabilitation, they were just so excited. I think our personal experience and our BOCES experience really influenced our choice for the community service project, Diegelman said. It was a good way to help those in our community, Chukanenko added. It was great to unite our school with BOCES to do this project. It got everyone involved, and we really brought some smiles to people's faces who really needed this. It's really about connecting with people and making them feel cared about. End of quotation. The students will share their portfolio and photos of those whose lives they touched when they attend the New York State Skills USA competition at the end of this month. Also, page 2, applications open for summer food service program. Deadline for information to the Niagara County Youth Bureau is April 24th. The Niagara County Youth Bureau will again sponsor the 2026 Summer Food Service Program. The program ensures that children who are economically disadvantaged continue to receive nutritious meals during summer vacation. The Summer Food Service Program is a federally funded program funded by USDA and administered by the New York State Education Department that provides free meals to all children at approved food service sites. Meals, including breakfast and/or lunch, are provided to children age 18 and under. Applications are now being accepted from prospective Summer Food Service Program sites. Applications are now being accepted from prospective Summer Food Service Program sites. Approved sites will receive meals during the program, which plans to run from June 29th to August 28th. Site requests are individualized, including meals needed and program dates. If an organization, summer day camp, or youth program is interested in serving as a summer food service site, contact Benjamin Bunker, Youth Bureau Director, at 716-278-6872 for more information. Benjamin Bunker, Youth Bureau Director, 716-278-6872. Deadline for site applications is Friday, April 24th. You're listening to a reading of articles and features from the Niagara Gazette on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. From the Niagara Gazette of Tuesday, April 7th, 2026. Mum's the word on critical OTB audit, off-track betting audit. Local Republicans have no comment on findings of mismanagement by J. Dale Shoemaker and Mark Scheer of the Investigative Post. The State Comptroller's scathing audit of Western Regional Off-Track Betting Corporation has landed with a thud. Despite finding years of financial mismanagement, the Comptroller is making no referrals to criminal investigators. Niagara County Republicans, who in September appointed former OTB boss Henry Wojtaszek to the agency's board of directors, have nothing to say publicly about the damning report. Neither does leadership of the OTB board. Niagara County Democrats, meanwhile, are calling for accountability, but hold only 4 of the 15 seats in the county legislature. The lack of follow-through has frustrated critics of OTB and Wojtaszek's tenure. At present, Wojtaszek is poised to obtain a license from the State Gaming Commission that will allow him to be a voting member of the board. Quoting, "I think this is a glaring case of a disproportionate reward for shoddy performance," said Niagara County Legislator Carla Speranza, Democrat, Lockport. Wojtaszek did not return phone calls seeking comment for this story. Others said the lack of response to the critical audit suggests that little is likely to change at the public agency that has spent lavishly on salaries, health insurance, consultants, and other perks over the years. The Comptroller found that spending resulted in lower payments to the local governments that own OTB. The audit also found likely violations of 2 civil laws. While there have been some improvements in the last year in corporate governance and control measures, not enough has happened, said OTB board member Timothy Callan, who represents Erie County. The state audit should be a clarion call to board members, end quote. One government reform advocate said the audit illustrates why OTB has no reason to exist anymore. That was a quotation, and continuing, the audit creates a scathing picture of the total dumpster fire that Western OTB was under the GOP patronage regime, end quote, said John Caney, executive director of Reinvent Albany. He noted that in New York, horse racing and betting, OTB's statutory reason for existing, is circling the drain, end quote. There's zero that they can do to change that trend, he said, and so this is just going to be a matter of time before the Titanic sinks. Now, that article goes on. If you would like to hear the remainder of the article, please call Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, and a staff member will read the remainder of the article to you. That phone number is 716-821-5555. Still from the Tuesday, April 7th issue of the Niagara Falls Gazette, pursuit ends in arrest. A 20-year-old Youngstown man was arrested on several charges after he led police on a chase Saturday night. About 7:15 p.m. Saturday, a Niagara County Sheriff's deputy tried to initiate a traffic stop on a motorcyclist at Ridge and Church Roads in Cambria. The motorcycle operator, Garrett C. Tong, failed to comply with the deputy and drove off. The pursuit ended in the area of Art Park State Park, where Tong abandoned the motorcycle and fled on foot. He was tracked down with the help of a New York State Police K-9 unit. Tong was charged with third-degree criminal possession of stolen property, second-degree obstruction, unlawful fleeing a police officer, and resisting arrest, as well as numerous traffic tickets. An article about Old Fort Niagara's 300th anniversary. Old Fort Niagara's 300th Anniversary Symposium coming up. April 25th event is first of several planned this year, by Robert Creenan. As Old Fort Niagara commemorates its 300th anniversary this year, its first event will focus on the different colonial forces at play during the 18th century. The History Symposium, Politics, Trade, and Diplomacy on the New York Frontier, will be held from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on April 25th in the Officers Club structure next to the fort, and will feature nationally renowned experts on the nation's colonial period. Quoting, "It's a great opportunity to learn about the New York frontier at the time when the French castle was constructed," said Old Fort Niagara Executive Director Bob Emerson. "There's a lot of diplomatic maneuvering and fascinating stories. It's a chance to hear some of the nation's biggest experts in the field," end quote. The speakers featured include Michael Laramie, the keynote speaker, has written 9 books about colonial America and the Civil War. His talk will discuss King George's War on Lake Ontario. His talk will discuss King George's War on Lake Ontario, which lasted from 1744 to 1748, when the fort's French castle was built. John Parmenter, an associate history professor at Cornell University and author of The Edge of the Woods, Iroquois, 1534 to 1701. He will present Reconsidering Fort Niagara in the Context of Haudenosaunee Territoriality. Haudenosaunee Territoriality. Maeve Kane, an associate history professor at the University at Albany and author of Shirts Powdered Red, Haudenosaunee Gender, Trade, and Exchange Across 3 Centuries, will give a talk about gender, trade, and diplomacy on the New York frontier. Richard Wayhing, The History Department Chair at SUNY Oswego will present A Thing That Could Disturb the Union of Two Great Crowns, Niagara, Oswego, and the Struggle for the Great Lakes in an Age of Empire, about the rivalry between Forts Niagara and Oswego. Kevin Gelinas, a Canadian scholar of French colonial material culture, will provide an overview of that culture for French troops stationed around the Great Lakes between 1683 and 1760. The program will finish with a panel discussion about the indigenous people's perspective of European powers during this colonial era. Dr. Joseph Stahlman, director of the Seneca Nation's Seneca Iroquois National Museum Cultural Center, will lead the panel. Advance registration is required and attendance is limited to 70 people. Tickets are available through Eventbrite and cost $75 with morning coffee and lunch included. More information and a registration link are available through Old Fort Niagara's website. Also from the April 7th Niagara Gazette, restoration projects now underway at Oakwood Cemetery. Association elects its board of directors at annual meeting. A significant restoration project supported by a $2.25 million Regional Economic Community Assistance Program grant from Empire State Development, with additional funding provided by the Ralph C. Wilson Foundation, is underway at Oakwood Cemetery. Work will include new roofs, structural repairs, stonework, and painting for the chapel, built in 1877, the Green and Wicks Marble Mausoleum, built in 1913, and the Stone Office, built in 1922. All of the buildings will be used for future heritage tourism and programming in conjunction with the Niagara Falls National Heritage Area. Quoting, "This grant allows us to restore and protect our architectural treasures that tell the story of Niagara Falls," Association President Douglas Moradian said. These projects will ensure that Oakwood Cemetery remains a beautiful, safe, and historically intact landmark that visitors can enjoy for generations to come. In addition, the Oakwood Cemetery Association has appointed its board of directors for the upcoming term, unanimously re-electing Moradian to another term as president. Additionally, Connie Brown will continue her vital role as director, overseeing the day-to-day operations and community outreach of the historic site, along with Cynthia Troman, director of operations, and Michael Baxter, supervisor of grounds and crematorium. Additional officers who were elected include Audrey M. Ziegand, Vice President, Patrick Bradley, Treasurer, and Christopher Brown, Esquire, Recording Secretary. Board members include Dennis R. Collins, Dana DeFazio, Robert J. Kaziangan, John Mantell, Dr. Joy Menes, and Nelson Thomas. The association is working in close collaboration with the Oakwood Heritage Foundation board members, which includes the newly elected president, Laura Fitzgerald, vice president, Emily Jared, treasurer, Patricia Gagliardo, and secretary, Katrina Kuhn. Oakwood Cemetery serves as the final resting place for many of the city's founding families and notable figures, and is dedicated to preserving the history, art, and nature of the Niagara region. Established in 1852 on land donated by Lavinia Porter, daughter of Judge Augustus Porter, who is recognized as a founder of Niagara Falls and one of its largest landowners. It continues to service the community with the crematory, columbarium, and grave sites, including newly available family plots formed by the expansion of previously smaller burial sites. You've been listening to a reading of articles and features from current issues of the Niagara Gazette. We read from the Niagara Gazette. We read from the Niagara Gazette every Saturday at 11 a.m. Your reader has been Pat Connolly. Thank you for listening.
Coming up next in the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have a reading of the Dunkirk Observer. Following that, the following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability.